Right.
Okay. This is Coconuts TV, and we're at the house of Rodney Slack, the United goalkeeping legend of the 1960s. Rodney, we're talking about all your memories of Cambridge United and of the city itself, but and you were obviously a legendary goalkeeper, as I said, but you started as an inside forward at Leicester City.
Exactly.
Now, do you remember the first time you played in goal?
Yes, that was near Peterborough, a youth club called Fletton Youth Club. I played, you know, centre forward at the time, and then what usually happens when you find out a goalkeeper's played on the field before he's gone into goal, you find out that somebody got injured and obviously went in goal. Well, that's just what happened to me. I went in goal, and I thought, after the game, I thought, oh, it was a windy day, and I thought, oh, this is a lot better standing here than running around the pitch. So I decided to give it a go. But you've got to remember as well, in those days, that we didn't have gloves on when it was a dry ball and things like that they do today. So anyway, luckily for me, it was a dry day, so the ball didn't slip out of my hands at all. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought, well, I'm going to have a go at it. So I used to go and train in the park in Peterborough. I used to work for. I first started work at just before I was 15, would you believe, for the Sugar Beet Corporation. I was messenger boy. I had a racing bike, and I used to do all the messages all around the site of the Sugar Beet factory in Peterborough, and also any messages and errands and God knows what for the hierarchy I did. But in the evening, instead of coming back home to Farset, which there was nothing in my little village, I used to go to the park near the Peterborough cricket ground and train under their lights, which was only about 10 foot high, but that's what I used to get one of the lads from the Sugar Beet, and I used to go in goal. So I thought, well, if I can see it under these lights, I must be not too bad when it's light. So anyway, that's how it all started, going, you know, from work to training in the park and during the winter. And I thought, well, I'm not running around so much, and I wasn't a fat person then, so the only obviously thing everybody asks me is it was my height, you see, because don't forget I was only 5'10", well 5'9.5" to 5'10", and today, that's unfortunate today, because my grandson who plays for Sudbury, Daniel, he's a goalkeeper, and there's no better goalkeeper, I don't think, than that young lad. But because he's only just under 6 foot, you see, that goes against him. But I mean, in my day, it didn't go against you if you was doing your job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you developed your career as a goalkeeper, and then you came to Cambridge United from QPR in 1962 when Alan Moore signed you.
Yes.
So what were your first impressions of the club, Cambridge United?
Well, I felt that with Cambridge, it seemed to me, after I'd been at Leicester 5 years, just under 5 years, I've been in the reserves for most of that time, and I was the understudy to Gordon Banks. So what chance really had I got? Then when QPR came for me, I thought, oh, wonderful. I went to London. I hated London. I absolutely hated it. A village boy, you know, from a little village near Peterborough, going to London. If I wanted to go with my mates at night, you know, Frank McLean, any of them old boys I was mated up with and everything, it took me all night to get to them. So I hated London. And blow me if they weren't going for promotion to the old First Division, you see, QPR, and they had an established team, and they had a goalkeeper called Ray Drinkwater, who played in goal for them, and the manager at the time was Alex Stobb, and because he was going for promotion, I'm not obviously making this an excuse, but it did really stop me going forward with QPR, because the only time I played in their first team, which in the reports, was when Drinkwater was injured. But as soon as Drinkwater got fit again, he was back in, because Alex Stock was going for experience, you see, because he wanted to get in the first division of the Football League. So I didn't, and I hated London. And then, as I said, when I played a game down Bournemouth, and you know, we lost 9-1. I probably would have. You could have, out of 9, if you'd have stood there, you'd have probably have blamed me for 1 or 2. I don't know, but everything went against me that night. You know, even from a corner, it went straight in. It was unbelievable. But and then, like I just said, you know, next day, I got a telephone call from Alan Moore and Mr. Proctor, who was chairman of. Sorry, he was vice chairman, because I think Mr. Woolley, when I came here, was chairman. Abbey Tyres, and because that was my chance to get out of London, and they put it over to me where they wanted to go, and it was the best thing I ever did, because you got to remember, in those days Cambridge was one of the richest non-league clubs. I weren't to know that, don't get me wrong, I didn't sign for money. If you think how much I got, I'll tell you how much I got later, but if you think how much I got a week, but it was still on par with people who was doing 7 days a week at Marshall's. Right. And I was getting paid to keep fit and just work in the mornings, every afternoon off, and just turn out on a Saturday for matches. Whatever could you wish better than that? And there was poor blokes doing overtime and 7 days a week at Marshall's and getting £20 a week like me. You know, I came to Cambridge, and I came down on money, but not a lot, but I did come down on wages, and it didn't matter to me, because I felt that they were going to go somewhere, which proved in the end they did. But there were such nice people, you know. You know, you had Mrs. Harrison's, Mrs. Miller, and all these people in them days that you soon made themselves, introduced themselves, and you could see they were the workers. And not only them, but I think that was the difference, obviously, between United and Cambridge City. You know, you had the workers at Cambridge, not because I played for them, but you had the workers at Cambridge United, but you didn't have the workers, I'm sorry to say, for the City supporters. Really, they didn't muck in like Cambridge. So that to me showed me that, you know, and they told me they're putting in for floodlights and a new stand and all, you know, it really was good.
Yeah.
So,
well, you quickly established a reputation here, and one of your best known traits was you were a bit of a penalty save specialist. You used to save a few of those. Yeah. And your most notable was in last minute of the Southern League Cup at Milton Road against Cambridge City. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I just wondered if you could talk a bit about the rivalry between City and United. What was it like to play those derby matches? Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. You've got to remember, before Elizabeth Road was open, the first 3 or 4 years of my career with Cambridge United meant that you had to go down Victoria Avenue. Is it First One Avenue, isn't it? Yeah. No, Elizabeth Way. So you had to go 2 hours before kick-off, because it was chock-a-block. You know, it was in those days. You're talking about all the roads, all the buses would pull up here, because you know, as you know, there's a bus stop here. And if they were a bit dirty, it was all the score on there, you know, City 3, United 1, or vice versa. It was absolutely magnificent. And I understood, and it was the truth, if you talk to a lot of people that worked at Marshall's, they said Marshall's never done no work on a Monday, you know, because it was always discussing Cambridge United and Cambridge City. So not only was it good for the players, you know, it was good for the town itself. you know, very good. I thought it was brilliant. I couldn't wait to, you know, play against the City, because they were, when I first came here, they were the better side, really, of the two.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a chance to sign for them before United. I was invited to play against a team called Leytonstone down at Milton Road, and Oscar Old was manager. Everybody knows Oscar. And yeah, he promised me a lot of money, to be perfectly honest with you, but it still didn't persuade me to, you know, to go to Cambridge City. They were marvellous, and going back to that penalty save, it finished up 1-1 that night, and we lost the replay, I think 2-1 on the Thursday. We played on a Thursday at Cambridge United, there's no floodlights, only those 3 telegraph poles down each side of the ground, with 3 lights on each pole, and I've played second half games under them. You got to have eyes like an owl, but I remember saving the penalty, and I was coming off the pitch, and you know, people was coming across to me saying, you know, well done, Rod, and all this and that, and I said, oh, thank you very much. And anyway, a couple came quite close to me, and I thought obviously they were going to whisper in my ear, you know, well played. And the next minute he thumped me. He hit me in the, you know, and he cut my eye, and he hit in the eye, knocked me flying. But then, in those days, you only had, like, as United, you only had 4 or 5 policemen to look after the game, believe it or not. And that's what happened down there. The ones that were on duty came and got hold of this boy, and I think Mr. Greenwood was chairman of Cambridge City at the time, either Greenwood or Ridging, one of the two, was chairman. And they came into the dressing room and asked me if I wanted to summons. They got the boy, bloke, well, he was a man actually, and asked me if I wanted to bring, you know, and I said no. I thought, well, crikey, when I go down the next time I'm in for it, and so I said, oh no, it was, but oh, he did make a mess of my eye.
Yeah.